Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Okay, great. Okay. I don't know what happened to my laptop this morning. I just woke up and then I saw this line. I don't know if you can see it, but just ignore. Okay. So welcome officially to MCVP Consultancy Space 2021, and I wish you all the best in your application process. But before then, we can just talk basically about these things. So the first thing we wanted to do was to do check-in, which we already did from the initial time, and then I was going to talk about the change of structure and also the quarter 1 state of ISEC in Sweden generally, and also the projects that we're running, the plans for next semester. And if you have questions, you can ask here, and also we're going to have a checkout question as well. So in the course of the space, in case you don't hear me or you need me to talk about something, just try to tell me, or if you have any questions, just ask me and just like give me a signal. And I think it would be nice for you guys to unmute yourselves, so in case I'm asking a question, you don't have to like always mute and unmute. But the only problem is that you need to stay in a place where there's no noise, so like we don't have to be interrupted with the noise, right? Cool.
Yeah, that's perfect. Cool.
Okay. So yeah, so this is like the first thing we're going to talk about. First of all, is that at the beginning of 1920 term, we had to change the structure, and that's because we were trying to reduce the leadership, uh, low leadership of Hackensack in Sweden. For like in 5 years, we've not really had any very strong changes when it comes to the membership and how retention rate has increased or not, because for people in Isaac and Sweden, they are more connected to what they believe in, and sometimes it's usually a bit tricky for them as members. And because most of the times they have other things to do, they have jobs, they have other part-time things to do. So most of the time, balancing Isaac is a bit of more work for them. So we don't always have a lot of members in ISEC in Sweden. So basically, because of the fact that in 5 years we've not really had a persistent increase in membership, so we thought about changing the entire structure where we only have we have like two different types of membership. So we have something called the senior membership, and we have the second one called the normal membership. So basically, the senior membership are only for people who have been in ISEC for 6 months, and they fulfill the criteria for like the membership state, right? And then for membership is only for like new members and members who do not fulfill the membership criteria for the quarter. Yeah, so but we'll talk about that in the course of our space. So for now, I just want to tell you that now we have 5 LCs. We have one called Isaac Gothenburg. We have one called Isaac Lund. We have one called Isaac Link Shopping. We have one called Isaac Uppsala. And then we have Isaac in Stockholm, where the MC office is currently. So as I was talking about the membership status, so we have two type of status. So we have one called the member, and then we have one called the senior membership, like I like stated earlier. So for the members, they're usually between 0 to 3 months, because of course we do the membership check every quarter. So if you're a new member, you don't have any upgrade until like 3 months, because you don't fulfill any criteria, or you don't like stay until like the time for the membership check. And then the second membership is basically for people who have been here more than 3 months, and then they fulfill the criteria for being a senior member. And we have a lot of benefit for senior membership, and also some for members as well. But as a senior member, it means that you are a bit knowledgeable about ISEC and you're like more connected to ISEC. And we did this because we're trying to reduce the leadership pipeline. Basically, if you're a senior member, it means that you can apply for a leadership role. But if because normal members cannot apply, because we are trying to see, or we're trying to get to a state where you are not so new in ISEC and then you already maybe LCP. Because for instance, if you don't know so much about ISEC, or if you don't know about the ISEC process, it will be hard for you to downscale that to the members. So we're trying to see how we can be a bit more linear with the structure, and then we can have more productive members who are already who already knows ISEC a bit more, and then they can apply for leadership roles, right? Then the second one talks about the leadership state, basically. So at the moment, we don't have LCPs anymore. We don't have LCVPs anymore. We don't have team leaders a lot. So we only have one team leader, and she's from ISEC in Lund. And that's because in Lund, we have a bigger structure there because of the amount of people we have there and the capacity of the members. Um, so basically, in ISEC in Sweden as well, we have MC guys as the team leaders because we are more functional based recently. So the MCVP OGV, or like sorry OGX, is the person in charge of all the OGX process in the entity, same as the MCVP TM or the MCVP IGV or the MCVP IGT as well. So it's just like we have three layers. So basically, we have the MC, which are like the team leaders, and then we have the LC. And in the LC, we have the members, and we have the senior membership. So we have only three layers instead of having about five, like from the MC to the LCP to the LCVP to the team leader, like to the members as well. So we try to cut that out so that we can be able to see how we can balance both the people that we have and the capacity that we have, and seeing that we need to be able to have people that are already knowledgeable a bit to be able to apply for senior membership roles, or like leadership roles, I mean. So yeah, that's basically how the structure looks like. So do you have any question about the structure now, or we can continue? Can you hear me?
Yes, it's perfect. I don't have any questions. So.
Okay, Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can move on.
Okay, great. Uh, so I will just show you quickly about what we did from August to like December right now. So in August, because it was new, the entire structure was new, and it was a bit challenging because it was the first time we were trying to change the entire structure to see how we can be more productive as an entity and how we can work more as a family per se. So in August, of course, it was time for recruitment peak. So we had the recruitment promotions. We also had to create NSTs for the functional MCVPs to be able to have a support. And then we started like the recruitment process in general. We also had physical fairs, and also we had like the online promotions, but we had to be more focused on physical because the online promotions didn't give us so much lead. So we had to also do like the physical fairs. And then in August also, we since we already had members, I had to work on like the national education cycle, and then we created like the ISEC hub then to have all the functional materials on them. So in September as well, we also had the recruitment. That's when we completed that, and then we had like the NEC completion as well, because in August we only started it, and we only started collecting like the materials that we needed. But in September we completed that. And in September, so because we already had members, so it was time to track performance for every function, and also was time to manage the commission. So we basically did that for commission management. Then in October, so for this, MDS means the monthly developmental survey, and we did it because MCVPs are a bit far from the members because we have members in different regions. So in my function, I have I have like three, I don't know how to put it, like, it's like three functions. So one is called the network manager. So because we don't have any LCP or any LCVPs, it was nice to have at least one person in the LC that can coordinate the LC And then, but they don't do anything functional. They only do like the engagement activities for the members. For instance, they do like team days. For instance, they do like the LCMs. They do the workspaces for the members, because it's not that easy for the team leader who is on the MC to always go and visit the LCs because of like the distance. So we have one person in my function who does that. So basically the person is in charge of the engagement activities and also the coordination of everyone in the LC. So these people also are in charge of the monthly developmental survey that only tells us if members are only checking like the NEC or if they have any issues. So it's just to check how members are doing monthly in terms of development and in terms of achieving their goals, basically. So anytime you see the MDS survey, that's just what it means. And then in October, we had to update the, because we didn't have any specific tool for OH or like for TM. So we changed the name from TM to OH, and that's because of the structure as well. So if you see OH, it just means TM as well. It's just the name that changed, right? So we had to update the OH tool in the sense that we had to create all the different tools in one, because we realized that we had too many, and it was so hard for like the network management people to always few different trackers. So it doesn't make any sense. So we tried to put everything into one. That's what I created in October as well. And in October, because it was end of the first quarter, we had the membership checklist template as well to be done, and then we had to complete that. Then of course we had like the commission management, commission calls, visit, and everything. And also we started implementing like the team standards implementation. So that's what we basically did in October in my function. And then in November again to December, where we are currently, we finalized the individual membership criteria. So basically we knew how many members will be senior members, so how many members will be downgraded back to being a member state. And also we started the recruitment plan as well. And then we started also the rotation plan. So what rotation means is that because we realized that we don't have a very good capacity of member, so we were thinking, how do we make our members more connected, or how do we make them more interested with their function? So I came up with something called rotation. So rotation is just for members to rotate to another function that they might feel more connected with. For instance, if you're in OGV or if you're in IGV, for instance, and you think that you are not really good with IGV or you don't want to be in IGV, so why do you need to be there? So what we did is that we tried to make them have the opportunity to rotate to another function, in the sense that they will be more productive, they will be more engaging, and then they will be like they have passion for, because we always believe in what you like, you do more. So this because of this, actually we had more retention in different functions, because if you didn't like to be in IGV, then it doesn't make any sense for you to be there. Or if you don't want to be in OGX, it doesn't make any sense for you to be in that function, because first of all, you are not going to be productive, and then again, you will not enjoy the function. So we had to come up with this plan just to be able to have a bit of more membership retention and members who always want to enjoy the function better, because we always try to see how we can balance the new structure, because trust me, it's a bit challenging because we don't have the normal things that we normally have. So this, for like 1920 term, it was trying to see how we can be part of the drawing process and how we can try to balance the functions, because it's a bit different from what we usually do. So sometimes we just come up with ideas and see how we can fit that into the new structure. So for every time or every day, we try to come up with different things to see what else can we do to make it a bit better. Because in terms of the pipeline for senior membership, it's very strong now, because for everyone who is a senior member, they are very good with what they're doing and they know what ISEC is all about. So now they can apply to be team leaders, or they can apply to be LCVPs, or they can apply to be LCPs, right? But before it was not like that, because for instance, a new member who just joined ISEC maybe a month ago can be LCP, and the point is trying to downscale what you don't know to the network, so it doesn't bring a bit more productivity that we would normally want. So the new structure is a very good one if we just know how to balance both the people and both the new structure together. So yeah, that's like the monthly priorities. So in case you have any questions, you can ask me. Cool. I can't hear anything. Okay. So, the state of the entity in general. So, the first time we did our recruitment in August, so we didn't get so much responses from even online. We got more of them in the physical touch points. So, basically, we had 35 people who applied online. Who applied both online and the physical fair. And then the average process time that it took for us to respond was 0 to 5 days, because we were trying to see how many people might apply and what skill do they have to join whatever function they applied for. And during the course of the recruitment, we had 7 people who got rejected, or who withdrew the application, because first of all, some got a new job, or some were going out of Sweden, and a lot of things that happened. So basically, there were state of natures that we cannot control as an entity. So we had 7 people that left, and then we had 28 people that was recruited during the process. And then we had 6 members that left during, after recruitment, because they realized that ISEC was, according to them, was too much work, and they couldn't balance both the work and ISEC. So to them, it didn't make sense to be in ISEC when they cannot contribute to ISEC. So basically, of course, every time we want to plan, we always plan for 100%, but apparently we couldn't achieve 100. We had 82.50, but in the next slide, you'll see how many people we recruited per function. So yeah. So this is just the amount of members we used to have in the entity from the beginning of August till now. So in August, in the different LCs, in Gothenburg we had 5 people, in Linköping we had 8 people, in Lund we had 7 people. In Stockholm we didn't have anyone, because before 1920 term all the members resigned because they had other things to do, and then some of them were leaving because most of them were master students, so they were leaving. They were done with masters, so they had to leave Sweden. Then in Uppsala we had 3 people, so in total we started with 23 members. Then in September, after recruitment, we had 11 people from Gothenburg, and then we had 10 in Linköping. We had 11 from Lund, we had 6 in Stockholm, and then we had 5 people from Uppsala. So in general, we had 43 people for us in September. Then in October, we had a reduction a bit because of course, the balancing of members as well. In Gothenburg, of course, you see we have 11. Linköping was still the same thing. We had 10. Lund we had 10. Stockholm we had 4. Uppsala we had 5. So in general, we had 40 people. And then in November, we had a reduction as well. So we had 8 people in Gothenburg. We had 9 people in Linköping. We had 9 in Lund. We had Stockholm 3. We had Uppsala 6. And then in total, we have 35 members at the moment. So yeah, when it comes to the function as well, so objects, of course, we have, in August, we had 5 people. IGT, we had 8 people. DXP means like the marketing team, they had just 1 person, because DXP is more national than functional, than LC. So for IGV, we didn't have anyone as well in August, because it was a new project. They were just starting for ISEC in Sweden. So we had to recruit members for that. For my team, for OH, we had 9 people. And in January, we had 23. It's just like the same numbers, like total we had for each function, for each LC. And then for September, in OGX, we increased to 10. IGT, we had 21 people. JXP, we had 3 people. And then IGV, we had 0, because we still didn't get anyone for recruitment. Then OH, we had 9 people. And then total, we had 43. In October, we had 12. IGT reduced to 16. Then DXP 2, IGV 1. We finally got someone for IGV. And for OH, we still had 9, which we had like 40 in total. And then in November, we had 10 people for OGX. In IGT, we had 15, 1 person left. In DXP, we had 2, 1 person also left. In IGV, we had 1 person in November. And OH, we have 7 at the moment. So in total, we have 37. So that's like the state of the membership right now in ISEC in Sweden. And then if you, as you can check the retention rate when it comes to different function, you can see that, and we got that based on the amount of members that we always have at the beginning of the month and also at the end of the month, and that's how we calculate the retention basically. um yeah, so do you have any question? Let me see.
Yes, I was going to ask about the age range of the members, like if there is information about that, like how
um
like the situation of the members and how are you basing your recruitment, especially in the get process? What is the overall persona of the people recruited?
yeah, okay, so in for us basically we always have age 18 to 27 maximum basically, because that's the only amount of people that we always see or get. So what we realize is that in Sweden most of the bachelor's courses are always in Swedish, so we don't always get people who would join in bachelor's because of course most of them are Swedish people. But for the internationals that we always get, they have to be in masters, and usually they have 2 years. And that is the only reality that we have at the moment. So we usually want to work with that. But what we're trying to also work on is that recently we realized that the system, like the education system, is really changed a bit. So for bachelors as well, we have some international students as well, and then some courses in English. So in this recruitment, we try to change our persona to that. So hopefully we're going to get more people who are in bachelors instead of masters, because the reason why we always have like the retention to be reduced is because most of them have to leave Stockholm or like have to leave Sweden because they were done with masters basically. Right? Can you hear me?
So my own question is that you are responsible for nine
Sorry.
people.
Sorry.
In
Type this.
Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So I said you're responsible for nine people. Is the nine people you're responsible for? Are you the one delivering sales standards to them, or they have someone that is responsible for all of them? So and also, since those nine people is a total number of the members you have across all the LCs in the entity, how do they manage? Do they have someone that is specifically managing one LC, or you're also the person responsible for all of them together at the end of the day?
And I need to so like people can always hear.
What did you say?
No, I need to type this so like people can always see it as well. 1 minute.
Okay.
Because I'm recording so. Okay, basically for this I said earlier, so because of the entire new structure, so it's very tricky to work with a lot of ISEC processes, right? So what we did is in our term is that on the MC we have MCVPs who are like team leaders basically, so like they're in charge of their own function by themselves, but they also do like the team standards for their own team members. But what I do is that for me, I am also in charge of the 9 people who are in my function. But in every LC, there is, when it comes to OH in every LC, there is one person who is in charge of the network management. So basically, the person is always in charge of the engagement activities in the LC. So basically, the person organizes the LCMs, the person does the team days, the person does the workspaces basically, but the person doesn't do anything related to the functional work when it comes maybe for when it comes to IGV or OGX or whatever. The person is only in charge of the engagement activities in the LC. But for the MCVPs, they're in charge of the functional process in each of the LCs, and because they have members under them. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do. I and another question is, since you're changing the personnel for recruitment to accommodate the Swedish people that can spend 4 years, was it included during this last recruitment, or is it a process that you just want to
No, it's
start
a new
for
one.
the
It's a
next
new one.
recruitment?
It's a new one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a new one because like so let me just try to elaborate a bit more about the functions, right? So when it comes to the have 6 functions, right? because we don't have finance, because finance is a national role. So the MCVP finance is the national person responsible for all the finances. So when it comes to finance, we have first of all, we have like the national finance, and then we have the sub account for every LC. So the MCVP is responsible for that. So we don't have anyone in each LC that does finance. But for every time they need to have like, maybe they need to have a budget for like team days or team activities, the TM person, like the OH person in each function does that, right? So we don't particularly have any finance person in every LC. We only have the team, like the network management person that takes care of the finances and also takes care of the engagement within the teams, right? So for other functions that we have team leaders who are already on the MC, they always try to work with the members based on the function, right? And like I said earlier, because they cannot always have engagement activities for each of the members because they can always travel because of the distance, we have the OH person in every team or in every LC who does that, right? So we try to see how we can balance both the functional engagement and the normal engagement when it comes to trying to connect people together, like bond the teams together, right? So when it comes to team standards, the MCVP or like the team leaders do that. And then also when it comes to like the other side of the team standard, when it comes to team bonding, the OH person, like who is in the LC, is responsible for that as well. So basically, I try to track every activity that happens there, but then I'm not responsible for that. I only track that, but I'm responsible for only my team. But what I do with other teams is that I always track that for other teams, but I'm not responsible for other teams when it comes to team standards. Okay? Cool?
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Cool.
We can move forward. Mm, yeah. So you can see like the TM process implementation. This was from the last recruitment, and like 1 minute. Yeah. This was like the last recruitment, and then the key part of the TM process is already updated, so I need to fill that. But apart from that, this is what we got from the last time. So basically, we are not doing bad when it comes to the TM process implementation, but then again, we need to improve as an entity. So of course, you're going to get this slide, and then you can always check it in case you need it for your. So yeah, again, the last one you saw was for November. So for December, so this is that people we're going to be starting with in January when we start. So we currently have 32 members, as you can see here, 32 members. And for Gothenburg, we have one person who is in OGX because one other member was fired last month because he was not performing, and then he was he couldn't balance basically. And then for OGX in link shopping, we have 2 people. For Lund, we have 4. For Stockholm, we have 2 people. And then Uppsala, we have 1 person. So for IGT, we have 3 people in Gothenburg. We have 5 in link shopping. We have 3 people in Lund. We have 1 person in Stockholm. And then we have 1 person in Uppsala. For IGV, we have 0 because we don't run IGV in all other LCs. We only have 1 in Uppsala because it's closer to the MC, and the MCVP who is responsible for IGV is closer to Uppsala. So it was easier to get 1 person in Uppsala, and then we didn't focus on other ones because we didn't need anyone in other LCs to run IGV. For marketing, we only have 1 person right now in Gothenburg because, of course, we lost 1 member last month as well. For OH, we have 1 person in Gothenburg. We have 2 people in link shopping. We have 2 in Lund. We have none in Stockholm at the moment. So basically, I'm in charge of Stockholm. Then in Uppsala, we have 2 people. So yeah, basically, this is the amount of members that we have in Gothenburg. And then with the MC, so we are like 32. Yeah, I think. Yeah. So people, that's all we have. So in case I put this here, because it doesn't really, you don't need to have this here, but I put it here in case you might need it for your application as well, because this is just the little analysis I had to do from the global engagement survey that was sent to me by AI. So in case you need to see members' responses, or like the average rating of members, you can check it here. So it's about 3 pages. Let me check. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 pages. So in case I think you might need it for your application when it comes to how you need to perceive the members, or like the membership in ISEC in Sweden, and the average amount of ratings per question. For instance, 7.7, like let me just say 8% of 10 people, of like 8 of 10 rating when it comes to the ISEC experience for members. So basically, we had like people who chose 8 of 10 that would like to recommend the ISEC experience. For instance, if we had maybe lower, it means that maybe we need to do more with the membership, or not. And then what they expect from a team leader, you can see it here. So in case you're trying to work on your application, you need to see if you fit into this like expectations from the members. For instance, if you normally have a clear and structured communication skill, or like system or pattern, or if you're friendly, or if you're supportive, or if you have a good time management, or if you have a good knowledge about ISEC, or if you know how to give challenging work to members, or if you know what responsibility means. So this can always help you in your application process. So that's why I kept it in this slide. So you can always just go through this after our call and see whatever question that you may want to see. So this is like the most important questions, or like the most important ratings that I think is good for you or for your application. For instance, if like this question says, what are the reasons for you to apply for a higher role? So if you think that you want people to apply for more roles, and this is the kind of things you need to work on, so maybe you need to work on the structure, or like communication, or the type of team leaders that you need to have, or what type of environment you need to have. Because recently, most of our members are saying like the ISEC role is a bit more conservative and not engaging. So for you as MCVP, or for you guys intend to apply for an MCVP role, what can you do to make sure like members role become more interesting, more engaging, and less conservative? Yeah, always go through that and see how, and then for you again, when it comes to the exchange growth, most of the members in ISEC in Sweden have not gone on exchange, so IXP is a bit low. So now that you know that, you can use that to see how you need to create strategies on IXP with the OGX person, right? So this is just some insight that you might need for your application, so I only put it here. You to always check through. So in case you might need to check that later after our call, so please try to check that and see how you can work on this. So if you have any questions, you can again. When I Why is IXP low? Okay. Uh right now, why is IXP low? Well, that's because it was not a focus before, or it was a focus, but it just didn't happen for people to go on IXP. But now we are trying to see how, like, for people to go more. So in our term, we already had 3 people who already went on exchange, so it's increasing, and that's because we also don't have so many members who are already in ISEC in Sweden. So basically, for the next term, we always need to focus more on IXP, because one thing about IXP is that it helps members to be more proactive and to be more, connected to the ISEC in general. So it would be nice for us to have this in the next term, because also for next semester we also have 2 people who already be going on exchange. So it's increasing, but I mean in the past has not always been like that. So but from like 1920 term and 1819 it has been increasing a bit. But then again, we need to work on how much people will still need to go on exchange, so we can increase the IXP for the entity. So that's basically it. So I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible for you to know the state of the entity and see how you can be more strategic when it comes to IXP, when it comes to membership retention, or when it comes to the TM process implementation, when it comes to team standards. So yeah, that's it. Do you have any other question?
Yes, I do have like a small question.
Okay.
It's concerning like if you have like any like the main touch points that you have with the members. Do you have like any conferences? Because I know that there is 3 months membership,
Check.
like the membership is more in 3 months, and then like do you
Mm-hmm.
have like any when it comes to onboarding, do you have like conferences done, or it's depending on the OH person in each LC to manage that?
Okay, so for that, I think I have to repeat your question because of the recording. So your question is that when it comes to the onboarding, what do we do? Like, what other touch point do we have with the members, right? Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so for
Yes.
that, usually we have three conferences in every term, right? And then for the last, so in our beginning of our term, we couldn't have a conference because of the timelines of members, right? Because of the university timelines as well. So it's really difficult to, like, balance both the university timeline and also ISEC timeline. So we were supposed to have one conference in September, but we couldn't have it because of members were not available at the moment, right? And in Europe, when it's like August and September, like people are already on vacation, they don't return until like a bit into September. So what we try to do is that after the recruitment, I came up with the fact that every MCVP needs to go to each location to do the induction. So basically, every MCVP went to different locations. For me, for instance, for me, I went to Isaac in Lund, and I had the induction with the new members. Mustafa went to Link Shopping, and also Rodrigo went to Link Shopping. And then the MCP went to Uppsala, and also the ITV person went to Uppsala. Then the finance person and Osai, who is the marketing person, went to Gothenburg. So we had to do like a mini conference, but it was not a mini conference, like induction for members to be able to be onboarded. So like the OH person doesn't do that actually. We're supposed to have a conference or like a general induction for like everyone. So that's what we did, because like when it comes to the like the conferences, it's the timeline is just always the problem right now. And then again, for the next conference we're going to be having is in January, like January 24th to 26th. So we are going to have more members because of course they will be back from their like Christmas breaks, and like they have some already even have exams in the first week and second week. So it's also like a bit tricky for us, but still we try to make sure like they will be there, because first of all it's part of like the membership criteria check as well. So we would have more members who will be there. So when it comes to onboarding new members for the next recruitment, it's not going to be a problem because they will also be in the conference. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Tolani asked, have you thought about changing conference circle to fit into your every entity? Yeah, of course we try to change that, but it's already too late to change that in our term. But for next term, of course, they will need to have some type of transitioning with the new team, with the current team, and see how we can fit in the conference circle, right? But when it comes to, it's not just about the circle, it's about the fact that when the ISEC term starts in August, right? At that time, in fact, from June, July, August, a lot of people, they don't joke with summer here. They always go away from Sweden. So most of the times we don't have our members back until like September, mid-September, that much. So the thing is, like, no matter how much we want to fit it into the circle, we still have this challenge because we still need to see how far we can be able to do a conference at the beginning of a term so that we can be able to do a proper transitioning. So basically trying to fit into the circle, of course we need to do that, but it's always going to be a challenge because of how the summer and how the ISEC like the ISEC term stats. But then again, it would be always nice, because what we tried to do about the last time was because everyone had to go to different locations for like the conference, so it made more sense. So maybe from the next term it can also be like that way, we have like mini conferences in every location. When it comes to like the general one, is always a bit of work because we don't have so much members coming, because it's not nice to only have like two people in a national conference, right? So we only need to try to see how we can have it in different locations where we can have more people who will be there at the moment. So that's like the basic thing when it comes to this conference circle. Yeah.
Also, I have another question.
Okay.
So, what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of OH in the entity presently, and how has it supported productivity in the entity?
Okay. So I need to repeat the question again because I'm recording. So you're asking what is the like how has OH been able to balance productivity in the entity, right? On the MC?
Yeah, yes, on the MC, and also what are the strengths and weaknesses in terms of the else at the LC level
Okay,
itself.
so what are the strengths and weaknesses? Okay, so basically, because of the new structure, like I would say, we have a very strong senior membership, like pool, because we have 9 senior members, and then we have the rest to be members. So when it comes to the 9 senior members, we have a very strong talent when it comes to that, and then this can help us to open team leader roles for the next term or for the next semester, right? So because of the new structure, we have like very good senior membership, and then it depends on it depends on the location. So I will just show you guys just a brief with I just have to go back to my 1 minute. So when it comes to 1 minute, I think 1 minute, sorry. I'm trying to show you the so like you can always remember the names. But yeah, for second Gothenburg right now, one thing I would say about the strength, it will be that we have we have a company that we partner with, which is called Volvo in Gothenburg. So because of that, we can get more members for IGT because we have like a good pool of people to choose from in the university, right? But one weakness that I would say is that we don't, of course, have the capacity at the moment to do that. So it's a bit of more work for the MCDP IGT to coordinate the partnership with Volvo. Yeah, but when it comes to the senior membership in Gothenburg as well, we currently don't have any because 2 of them left. But then for the members, we have we have more. I mean, for the 6 of them, they're really connected to ISEC, so it's also a strength for them when it comes to that. They also have partnerships with Volvo, so that's also a strength for the LC. But when it comes to weakness, of course, we need to have more members in each of the functions because we are trying to see how we don't need to overwork members, because one of the feedback we always get is that the ISEC work is too much for them. So we need to see how we can increase the amount of people that we have, and then so like we can be able to like share the responsibility like equally or across everyone. Um, when it comes to link shopping, we have a very strong culture because we have them more as friends in link shopping, and also we have a global partner there as well. So we have IGC to be very strong in link shopping. And then when it comes to OGX in link shopping as well, we have a very good relationship with the MCDP and also like with his team in link shopping. So for OH as well, of course, I have a very strong team as well in link shopping because they are both senior members, and then they've been in link shopping for a long time, and then they've been in ISEC as well for a longer time. So when it comes to the engagement activities for link shopping, they always have that because they always have engagement activities, they always have team days, they always have workspaces. So it's very nice in link shopping. Then for Lund is the strongest LC that we have at the moment because, of course, we also have senior members there as well. And then we have a team leader for OGX, and she's been in ISEC longer time, and she's very proactive and very connected to ISEC. So it's easier for her to always coordinate her team. And then when it comes to IGT as well, we have a senior member in IGT, so she also coordinates the team as well. And for my OH team as well in Lund as well, I have 2, and next semester one of them will be going for exchange. So we have one IXP, and then she's pretty proactive and she's like one of the best in OH when it comes to working. For Stockholm, when it comes to OGX, of course, they have 2 very proactive members. IGT, we have like the best because he also works with the MCDP IGT when it comes to working with interns for Electrolux and for other companies that we have in Stockholm. So he is very also connected. So there's a good culture with the functions. And then I don't have anyone for OH, so basically I take over OH as a function for Stockholm. And then for Uppsala, we have like the oldest member in ISEC to be in Uppsala, like one of the oldest members to be in Uppsala, and she's in my function as well. And she basically also does a very nice job when it comes to membership engagement and trying to see how we can do more for every LC. So yeah, I think like for every location, they have very good strength when it comes to the current members that we have. But of course, the weakness will be that we need to increase more. We need to have more members, like more members in every LC. I want to see how the new members can be connected to ISEC, and also we need to work on our engagement when it comes to, because within the teams it's very nice, but when it comes to nationally, like in general, it's still lagging somewhere. So we need to work on that and see how we can make members to be more connected to ISEC in general. What else can I say about the membership? I'm trying to see more that I can say. Yeah, so I don't know, but what I'm trying to also work on in my term, so it might not be it might not have any effect on 1920 term, but it's going to have, of course, a very good one for 2021. So we're already trying to plan something called the National Engagement Day. So basically, it is not about function, it's not about LC, it's about everyone in ISEC and Sweden coming together. So we started planning that last month, and then we are progressive, and then we have more people who will be there. So what this does is that, first of all, it brings about the connection with everyone in ISEC in Sweden, because if you're in Gothenburg, if you're in Linköping, if you're in Lund, if you're in Stockholm, or if you're in Uppsala, you can be able to connect with everyone, and then you can always learn from them. And with that, you can also meet the team leaders for every function and see how we can always work. Because one thing as well about people here is that they need to be more visual. You need to always see them, you need to always be with them, so it's easier to create that connection. So this is like the new thing that I'm trying to work on for next semester. It's going to be in April. So at the moment we have 15 people already who confirmed that they will be there. So it could be a cruise, because we're thinking of a cruise to, maybe, I'm not sure where yet. I don't want to disclose that because it's supposed to be a surprise to the members. But yeah, we have that, and then it's just to be able to see how we can be more connected as an entity, and see how we can have fun, and also try to work and try to work on what extra thing we can do for the membership and what makes them connected. Because like in my term, I've tried to come up with rotation, I've tried to come up with the MDS, I've tried to come up with the having the OH people trying to track engagement. So I mean, it's increasing generally, but then again, I think one question we need to always ask is that, do we always have to think about the quantity of the membership or the quality of the membership? So in your application, you might want to think about that and see how you need to see, or you need to work on, maybe for you, if quantity works for you, if quality works for you. Because for me, quality works for me, and I can proudly say that with the amount of members that we have now, they are very qualified to be in ISEC. And for those that left, of course, they were qualified, but maybe they had other things to do. So I think that's something we need to work on in ISEC in general, because I feel like when in ISEC, for every time there is no so much people in the LSO, in like in the entity, it feels like they're not working, or like the membership is not strong. But for me, I would just say, like, when it comes to the membership, do you need to focus on the quality, or you need to focus on the quantity? So this is just my thought. It could be helpful for you in your application process, and see how you can balance both the people and also both the process for ISEC in general. So yeah. Do you have any other question? Maybe.
Yes, I do.
Mhm.
So my question is, presently, what kind of recruitment do you run? Is it based on operational timeline or the university timeline, or both?
Yeah, we do both actually. So I need to say a question again so like people can hear. So your question is, how do we run recruitment? Is it based on the university timeline or the operational timeline, right? So for us, we do both. We do both, and then we are trying to see how we can align both, because sometimes it's always very tricky. Because for instance, the for recruitment, so the university timeline started in September third week, but we started promotions in August, because of course we cannot wait until September to have promotions. So we started promotions in August, and then we started like the selection process in September when members were already in the LC. So we try to of course work with both of them, but we also see how we can balance or what timeline we need to give to the persona building or like to the selection and onboarding process or to the attraction phase. So we just try to plan based on what we have, but usually we cannot because even now, so the school resume in January second week, some first week, it depends because they have exams. So if we want to start promotions in in January second week, it doesn't give us more time for us to get more people because we need to have them in the conference, and the conference is in the third week in January. So you see, like we only try to see how we can balance that. So for now, we already started like the promotions in since like last week or last 2 weeks. So we're already doing the attraction phase. So now we're seeing how we can start the selection phase in the first week and in the second week as well. So yeah, that's how we try to balance it.
Thank you very much for that. Another question I'm going to ask is, if presently in the entity, is there a personal development plan dashboard, or is there a personal development plan for each PDP for each members that
Mm-hmm.
is in the entity presently? And how do you track its progress and implementation?
Okay, so your question is like, do we have any PDP template or tool for the entity, right? And how do I track it?
Yes.
Okay. For that, of course, we have that, and we always do that during the one-to-ones with every member. So for me, I only do that with my members, and I always track with the other MCVPs to see if they're doing it or not. So basically, every month we have a call with our members with the PDP code that I created. I'm sorry, with the tool I created, and then we have at least 1 hour to talk about what is the goal for the next month, what is the goal for, like, apart from ISEC, how can we help them, how can we support them. So we always have that with every member per se. So like every MCVP always do that. And when it comes to ISEC in Sweden, the MCVPs always, we don't know, they don't only do like the one-to-ones, they always have like reoccurring calls with these people. They always, like, talk to them, send them messages, we talk on the group. So it's not just about every, like, once every month. But then again, that particular 1 hour that we use per member every month is just to have a very explicit explanation, or like a very explicit process on how we need to work on the PDP and how we need to support them as people, or how we need to, what goals we need to set for the next month or for the month, and how we need to achieve the goal. So basically we have that, of course. But then again, apart from that, we always have the ongoing calls, ongoing emails, or ongoing group chats. So yeah, we also have that. And then in the
So
OH2 is automated. So for every time they have PDP and they put the plan and the goal, I always see it. So I always track it from there. So the more they update it, the more I see it. It's automated. And then we also have the 1920 dashboard. So basically it's like for all the process, like everyone, all function are just in one. So we can see how many signups were contacted this week for OGX, how many partnership, like how many realizations we have, or for the OH team, how many times they did LCM, how many times they had workspaces. So we have like a very big but explicit dashboard that we see all the automated information in that. So yeah, we have that. Okay, do you have another question?
yes, I think I have two more, just two more. The one is that, based on the current structure that is running the entity, which is a flat structure, um, do you think it is something that is going to change in the next few maybe years? Do you think it is going to change back, or is supposed to change back, or it's something that is supposed to be maintained? And the second part
Uh,
is, do you also think that it drives productivity for
okay.
the entity presently?
Okay. So your first question will be that, do I think or do I see this new structure staying for the next year, right? Or for the next years?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So like I said, right, for Isaac in Sweden, for over 5 years before now, we've been having the same structure, but we always have this not so stable entity. For instance, like we always have this wavy performance or like productivity. So the point of changing the whole structure is to see if we can be a bit more stable as an entity. So for me, trust me, for this new structure, at the beginning of the new structure, trust me, it was a bit challenging because it's a lot of the effort comes from the OH office. So it was like a very big one on my function. But now seeing the structure, I think it's one of the best things that we did in our term because first of all, now we have at least a very strong membership when it comes to membership. We have like a very strong senior membership pool where we can always uh, make them apply for like team leaders or make them apply for like LCP or LCBP. So we have a very strong pool with that. And then when it comes to the members as well, they are also connected because the senior membership are also connected. So that connection is already flowing in the LC. So it's more nice to have that. But the point is that when it comes to seeing it in the next years, okay, so I mean, I'm not going to be MCP in like next 2 years or like next 3 years, for instance. So it depends on who the MCP is and if the MCP thinks that it should stay. But for me, I feel like for the new structure, at least we can always try for maximum 3 years to see if we can still be able to stabilize it because it's like the first time. And of course, in every first time, there's always a try and error and also trying to see how we can, balance it to see if it's going to be more productive or not. But when it comes to productivity and connection within the entity, I think it increased because now we don't just work as an organization, we work as a family in Isaac in Sweden, basically because we are like more more interconnected with everyone. We know everyone in the LC. We are a small but growing entity, so I think it's very nice. And when it comes to operation as well, we are doing better because the MCVPs are also working with the members more connectively because usually the MC is always operation and then the LCs don't really have much to do with the exchange performance. But now it's changing because the team leaders always work with the members to see how we can always work to achieve the goals for the exchange numbers as well. So I think it's very nice. But when it comes to saying in the next 5 years, for instance, I'm not going to be MCP at that time, so I cannot really say for the MCP. But what I can say is that if we can work on this structure for the next 3 years, we would have a very high productivity when it comes to the membership, for instance, right? Because not only that we'll have maybe might not have so many members, but for the members that we're going to have, they're going to be connected because the JDs will be interesting, will be engaging for them as well. And then they have an open system where they can always, give ideas. For instance, if you're in IGV, for instance, or if you're in OGV, and then maybe you're just in your room somewhere or you're like in an event somewhere, and then you realize that there is some conversation between you and someone, and then you think that it can help the OH team, you can always walk up to me and tell me, oh, hi Lillian, today I was talking to someone about this, and then I think we can always try this out. So it's just like an open system where everyone is equal and where everyone, talks about what we can still do as an entity, because right now everyone is in charge of the drawing process and seeing how we can work together to have a very good entity, right? Then the second one you asked was, sorry, I can't remember. What's the second one again?
The second one is just about the productivity. I think you answered it together that it drives more productivity
Yeah,
presently in the entity than
yeah.
the other structure.
Yeah, but so when it comes to this structure as well, right? We can always go back to the old one if we have a very good capacity. And we cannot go back if we don't have one yet. So if we have one at least in 2 years or in 3 years, then why not? You can have LCPs, you can have LCVPs, you can have team leaders, you can have a very wider team or like larger teams in every function or in every LC. So it will be nice to have like very large teams in the other years. But for now, you don't even have the amount of members to want to have like a larger team. So why do you need to have that? So it depends on who the MCP is, like I said, or like who the team will be in like 2 years. But for now, this is the structure that we have, and for me, this is nice to have because it's first of all increase the productivity in a way, and then everyone is a bit more connected. What we only need to work on right now is to see how we can make the job description a bit more interesting and less conservative, because that's like always the feedback that we get, and see how we can balance like the process and the people together. So in ISEC, we have so many tools, so many processes, and inclusion is very difficult when it comes to like including everyone into like the system. So for this structure, it makes us to be able to like include at least 90% of our membership, so everyone feels a sense of inclusion to the during process, like to how much they can, contribute to the ISEC in Sweden that we all want to see, right? So I think that's also good. So you need to also, in your application process, or like talking to the members or like talking to the people, you can ask them, how do you think your job description can be more interesting to you? What, makes you more passionate about ISEC? How can we support you? So like these are questions that would maybe drive your application process properly, and see how you can just balance both the people and also the process. And like I told you as well, in ISEC, I think we are running into an era where we think that the numbers always matter. Well, it does matter, but then again, what also matters to me is the quality of the people that you're producing every year, or like every semester or every quarter. So it's not just about the numbers, or like on export, the amount of people that you have. You can have 350 members, but none of them are working into the ISEC purpose, or like none of them achieve their goals, even personally. So I think we need to always think about that as not even as ISEC in Sweden anymore, as ISEC International, and see how do we make these people more productive when it comes to like self-relevance to themselves. Like how, for instance, how do I look back at my ISEC experience and say, oh yeah, I think ISEC really helped me. So we need to also focus on that, and not just about having 500 members and maybe only 1% of the population, or like the proportion, are like connected to ISEC or like achieve their goals. So why not have like an amount that you can manage as an entity, and see how the quality can affect your productivity, right? So I think that's something that we always need to always work in ISEC, because recently a lot of noise about the numbers, and about, of course, numbers are really nice because we need to reach more people, but then again, the point is, are we currently engaging the people that we have, or we just want to have more people and then we try to like reduce the productivity with that? So I don't know, but that's just my thought, and I'm just putting it out to you because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible to help you in your application process. So yeah, these are like things that you need to think about as well, in case you might decide to apply after now. So yeah, that's it. So I hope that I could help you a bit more with this. So yeah.
Uh, yeah, thank you very much so far. My
Mm-hmm.
last question
Okay.
is going to be about the CM processes in the entity.
Yeah.
Is there like a tracking tool per LC, or is it just a national dashboard that does not include the LCTM process implementation?
No, no. So for the TM process implementation, we have a dashboard for like just one dashboard, but it includes every LC. And because we always do recruitment nationally, so it doesn't make sense to have different one for different LCs. So we just have everything in one, where every LC is in it. So basically, I also, like I mentioned earlier. So in my function, I have the three functions. So one is called the 1 minute. So one is called the network management. The second one is called the recruitment and training team. So they always have different. I can always send you the job description if you want to see. And basically, for the recruitment team, what they do is that when it comes to the TM process for GET, for instance, we work on that together for every LC, and then we update the tool in like on the dashboard. So we have just one, but for every LC is included in that dashboard, and then I work with my OH team in every function to see how we can track that. Okay. Do you understand me?
Is there
Or
Yes, I
okay,
understand. Is there
okay.
a way that some like we can get what's it called, the, let's say, the general analysis or the general percentage for each phase, each CM process?
Yeah, already it's already on the slide, but I can always,
Slide.
share you again. I can always share it again because I told you it's not updated, but I can always share the updated one with you maybe after the call, or I can include it to
Okay.
the slide, and then when you can find it on the Facebook page, you can always see it there as well.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
So
And that is my last question.
okay. Okay, that was your last question.
Yes, that was my last question.
Okay then. So for the slide as well, since you also want to know more about the recruitment process, I can also add the persona that I created as well, and then you can maybe use that as well for your application. So yeah, that's all I have. But always remember that, I don't know, for me, I will always say three things, right? During your application process, it's nice that you always talk to like the OH team in case you have. I can always send you the contact. You can always contact them to see how they can help you in your process. You can always talk to me as well. And then again, you always need to think about how do we need to balance the people that we have now, and also there's some noise somewhere. I cannot. Can you? Can you mute, please?
It's
Yeah, okay. So like I said, I was saying, like, one thing I always try to tell you is that you need to always talk to like the OH team as well. You can always talk to me, and I can always share you the contact in case you need to talk to my team. And then again, also one thing I will always like you to always remember is that you can always go through like the global engagement survey and see how you can always, how that can help you in your application process. And always remember that sometimes not just about the like the quantity, is about the quality of the people that you think you need to, impact, and see how you can balance both the people that you have and like the exchange and also the process. It will really help you in your application process. And you also need to be very realistic in your application process, because sometimes when we're not realistic, we don't get to achieve the goals. So for instance, you need to just see what is the current state and how you can contribute to that state by being realistic to your goals, and not like being overreactive or over, I don't know how to put it, but I'm just trying to give you like an insight, and I'm trying to be very transparent for you guys to see how it will help in your application process. But always remember that you can always talk to me. I'm just one click away. You can send me an email, or you can write to me on WhatsApp. If I think my number is on the application, yeah. So yeah, that's all I have. So thank you very much for joining the call, and I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you got at least something for your application, right?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I got a lot.
Yeah, have an amazing time. I will just include the other details that you might need on the slide, and then you can always check that later. Okay? Okay, bye, people. 1 minute. Yes, I will not forget to send you contacts. Yeah. Have a nice time. Yeah, bye.